Marty up north, welcome back.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Marty.
What happened to you? You got some sun? What are you doing?
Oh, Clyde, I wish it was sun. I wish it was sun. No, unfortunately, the saga with my staph infection is continuing, and I have a very persistent staph infection that I've been fighting it in my hand. And the doctor thinks this is staph in my nose, and the doctor says it's not a coincidence. Apparently, somehow like the mucous membranes in my nose are, I guess, fragile or something. And then all the construction I've been doing lately, renovating my daughter's condo, did something, and somehow or other I've been fighting this infection for a week now with a new course of drugs. And then apparently when this is done, I'm going back to the doctor, I don't know, the 12th or 13th of August. And then he's going to put me through a decolonization regime. That sounds bad, but,
Is he a social justice warrior? What do you...
Yeah. I hope not. No, I didn't even have time to ask him what that is. I think it's probably another course of lighter medicines, but for longer, and try to purge this out of my system. But right now I'm in a bit of a weakened state because of these drugs.
Holy
thus I'm drinking root beer instead of beer,
instead of a real beer.
yeah, but I'm fine. Everybody, right. I'm fine. I'm really good, thanks.
Well, yeah, hopefully you get a speedy recovery, well, just like you did with the thumb. So that was over pretty quick. It seemed quick enough, and yeah, you'll be done this pretty soon.
Yeah. And actually, not to be a conspiracist, but I did ask the doctor, I'm like, is this possibly an effect of COVID, or people around me having COVID, or me having had COVID? And he was like, he's trying to say absolutely not. But I'm open-minded. I mean, me, I'm pretty, I always said COVID was a pretty harmless disease for people otherwise healthy. I might come to regret those words. We'll never know.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
You must have good antibodies, though, having had it so many times and have no symptoms.
Yeah,
Marty, so much has been happening this week. What do we talk about first? What do we even get into? There's so many different things. I know what we can talk about. It's probably something that's, everybody's been calling you up and trying to get you on their other podcasts to talk about, and that's what's happened in Jasper.
Yep. What happened in Jasper? Well, for the viewers, right? I mean, the Jasper National Park had a major fire last week that started about Monday, Tuesday. And then this sucker, and when we talk about Jasper, we should I just want to put it out there, for clarification. There's Jasper National Park, which is a huge national park in sort of central northern Alberta. It's a park that's about, 1,600 square miles. And then there's the town of Jasper within the park. And they're on their national park. It's a national park, so it's all under Ottawa's jurisdiction. So, but in this instance, the fire happened close to where the town of Jasper is, started in the woods there in the forest, and then spread rapidly. And then, instantly almost the town had to be completely evacuated. It's a town of about 5,000 people had to be evacuated, but Jasper blossoms to like 25,000 people in the summer. There's 20,000 tourists in the area, all camping around there. So the evacuation went without any issue. The fire has been put out, but I'm sad for that. I'm extremely sad. Jasper is, let's put it this way. In Europe, how they have places like Italy, you have the Leaning Tower of Pisa, Egypt's got the pyramids, things like that. Like there's places that have historical things that are near and dear to them. We don't have those kinds of monuments in Canada because we're such a young country, but we have nature. That's what's near and dear to us. So Jasper, in a sense, for me, is one of those monuments. And the fact that it burned is shocking. So I went from shock and sadness, but then I quickly went to anger, because it's my really strong opinion that we'd been warning Ottawa for as long as I can remember that, the way they were managing the forest around Jasper was bad. and that it was just a matter of time before a disaster like this would hit. And I made a tweet about that. I had a tweet that resonated with a lot of people, because I didn't want, the one thing I absolutely did not want, I did not want Stephen Guilbeault to go, see, climate change. No, Stephen, it ain't climate change, man. Jasper burnt because you, who is in charge of Parks Canada, ignored the warnings and you let it burn. That's it. So, yeah.
Well, here's a tweet. I wanted to show this one, and this was petrified COVID parent, and I thought this was pertinent because of course, this is the narrative. They want to push it that it was climate change that caused this. This was the cause of it. Now, whether you believe in climate change or not, it's this is up for negotiation on, or at least a discussion on this, that it wasn't about climate change. Climate change, whether you want to say caused the fire, the severity of the fire wasn't climate change. It was due to really, really bad management. Yeah. So in this tweet, he says, I really hope nobody sees this Jasper Forest Management Plan from 2022 approved by Minister Guilbeault. If people learn that the fire was caused by government mismanagement, it could put a real dent in the climate change narrative. And he leaves a link for that. I suppose I should leave a link in the description.
I think the link's gone, Clyde. I actually think they deleted this, like, you know, but sorry, continue.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna double check that and pull that up. Note to readers, table of contents. The link's
okay.
there.
Okay,
yeah, it's
good.
there.
Good.
So it's active. But here's the thing, and we've been talking about this forever. I mean, I've been talking about this ad nauseum, that the real crux of the forest fire issue in Canada, I mean, if it was a global problem, global warming or whatever, why is it not happening in Africa? Why is it not happening in Europe? Why is it not happening in all these other places? It's particularly happening in Western North America, big time. And yeah, there's places like in Quebec that there was some raging fires, but Western North America, we've had this really, really bad forest management for about 100 years after a huge forest that took out some places down in, I think it was in Washington State. And a few people, there was a number of people that died 100 years ago.
Yep.
And because of that, they had this idea, we're just going to go with suppression. Any fire that flares up, suppress it immediately. And what it did was it built up this fuel load in the forests. We have denser forests than we ever normally would have had, because there's nothing to, no fires to come through and thin out the forest. We're not allowing for logging to do what would normally happen with the forest fires coming. So we have this dense fuel load, and when it does spark up, because it's inevitable that it will.
Totally.
And Jasper's fire, there's no indication that it was human caused. It's every indication that it was lightning or some natural cause that caused it. But it's the devastation of these fires when they do catch because of mismanagement.
Yeah, no, it's 100%. You totally 100% agree. You and I have talked about this. I mean, in this case, the culprit was old growth forest. You said it. You're spot on. You know, the last big fire around Jasper was around 1908. The park became a park in 1930, and there's not been a major fire ever since. And the trees in that part of the world, they're 100 years old. And in Alberta, you guys, 100-year-old tree is a baby. You know, you got those, what do you call them? Douglas firs. You got big trees, right? So the image of old growth forest, unfortunately, everybody got this image. Oh, can't touch the old growth forest. Well, you know what? The environmentalists were their own worst enemies, because here in Alberta, we didn't touch the old growth forest, and Mother Nature said, well, then I'll do it for you. The trees they'd all been dying from all sorts of causes. And
pine beetles, namely a huge
pine beetles, and age and wind. You know, an old Alberta spruce that's 100 feet tall. Yeah, he's at the end of his life, man. He's either going to get knocked down by wind at some point, or an avalanche, or something. Anyways. And this whole idea that we will protect the park, that we will not interfere in the parks, that's another flawed idea, right? We put up these barriers around Jasper, and we said, we're going to protect this, and we will not interfere. But again, that's misguided. I really learned this week. People said humans have been interfering interfering or helping in the ecology of Jasper since time immemorial. So when we put the boundary around it, we changed it. Prior to the boundary around Jasper, natives were burning the grasses there and managing it and doing all sorts of things. So humans had been managing the park. Anyways, yeah, it's I'll tell you, I met through this event and through spaces and through podcasts, I met some fantastic people. You got to invite Liam. I can't remember Liam's last name, but I met a guy from online who blew my mind on how to manage forests, and he's from British Columbia. He's a guy from Prince George. I'll paraphrase one of the things one of the examples Liam gave. According to Liam, the size of the forest in Sweden is about the same size as the forest in British Columbia in terms of size. And Sweden burned 6,000 hectares of forest accidentally last year. We did 2 million. So it's like they manage their forest by thinning them out with modern machines. I mean, you think of Sweden, you think of Husqvarna, man. They've invented machines that go in there, barely disrupt anything. He's like, from a distance, Marty, you can't even tell that they took out all the other trees, but by taking out every other tree, then they make it harder for the fire to spread, but it still looks like a gorgeous forest. And not only that, without even being noticeable, they harvest 3 times more wood than British Columbia does, and they make a fortune from it. Like, it opened my mind. So that's why I wanted to talk about Jasper this week, and I'll continue to talk about Jasper. I just don't, and it's not your viewers. I know people listening to us all know this, but it's not climate change, man. It's not climate change that destroyed Jasper. It's in fact, Liam's company had done work in Jasper right up until 2018 and a little bit of work in 2020 or 2021. He's like, then it all went quiet. So, he says there was some good management up until about 5 years ago and something changed. I'm like, yeah, I know what changed 5 years ago. We replaced Kat McKenna with Stephen Guilbeault. It's black and white, dude. It's black and white. So,
so in a way, climate change is to blame. This whole idea of using that as a crutch and only implementing things that go along that narrative is the culprit here. Yeah. So yeah, we can blame climate change, but we blame climate change alarmists largely, and people that don't want to actually look at real world solutions, real ways of going about doing things. And this isn't just when it comes to forest management. This is business management, everything. And right now, what is it? Our Canada's energy minister is out there kowtowing to China to say that this we need to do more of this, even though China they don't care about any of this stuff. They largely don't care. Government gov.exe is corrupt, put this out there on Twitter. And this is our energy minister praising China.
It's for obvious reasons. Climate change is altering our world's natural environment in a myriad of harmful ways. Last year's wildfire season was instructive in this regard. And just last week, I think the images that we saw coming out of Jasper were horrifying and devastating. Events like these are showing us what the future will look like if we fail to tackle the threat of climate change. That is obviously a future that we must work to avoid. At the same time, climate change is creating enormous economic opportunities for countries that are thoughtful, determined, and focused. It is not a fluke of chance that China is now the #1 developer and deployer of renewable energy technologies, the #1 manufacturer and deployer of electric vehicle technologies, and that it controls much of the critical minerals value chains around the world. That is the product of a thoughtful economic strategy. For Canada to seize the extraordinary opportunities being created by the transition to a net zero future, we must first accept the scientific reality of climate change. And we must then ensure that this
They can't handle a couple of flags. How are you going to expect them to handle the climate? Yeah,
honestly, Clyde, I hadn't seen this video. This is what I don't want. And thanks for sharing this. And no, we can't let them get away with it. Like, he's doing mental gymnastics, right? It's hilarious. Like, he mentions climate change is bad. Oh, but there's going to be an economic benefit to climate change. Like, so then in essence, you're promoting climate change because it means we're, who's benefiting from climate. It's all
China is not doing anything for climate change anyway. They're exempt from having to make all these measures, and he's building them up to be this like powerhouse in the way of mining particular minerals. Well, why don't we mine those minerals? We have plenty of them in Canada. Oh wait, yeah, our environmental minister won't allow for it. They won't allow for it, and this is the problem. And I want to show the rest of this. Okay. It's a little long, but it gotta see.
Forms and shapes Canada's economic strategy. The second part of the strategy is having a thoughtful approach to ensuring the competitiveness of Canada's oil and gas sector in what will eventually be a declining global market. Such an approach requires aggressive action to reduce emissions from the sector, to ensure that Canada will remain competitive in a world that will value the lowest carbon products. Without intending to be overly partisan, I would say that this recognition is not one that is yet shared by all federal political leaders in Canada. I would say that the absence of any recognition of the reality of climate change and the absence of any kind of economic plan that is focused on seizing the economic opportunities of a low-carbon future, something that our allies in the United States, in the European Union, and competitors like China have long ago figured out, represents a threat to Canada's future economic competitiveness and its prosperity. Over the past 2 years, the federal government has taken significant action and announced a number of investments to help seize the hydrogen opportunity. Today, I am pleased to announce that the Government of Canada will be providing up to $300 million to support the operations of this window.
Thank you.
So basically, here's a bunch of excuses to take tax dollars from poor and middle class people and give it to giant corporations that would otherwise come here anyway if you just eliminated their tax burden. You like seriously, open up the red tape. They'll come here. They'll come here and they'll spend their own money. We don't have to spend taxpayer dollars on giving this corporate welfare. It really is disgusting.
Well, I mean, I'll challenge your viewers to this. After replay this, close your eyes and listen to him and ask yourself, what country is this guy from? Like, is he Chinese or is he Canadian or is he American? Because he sure sounds like he's standing there on stage praising China and crapping all over Canada. Like, come on. Like, these guys are he's literally going around the world shooting us while standing over there. It's
but how does he
metaphorically
how do you honestly,
shooting us? He's not shooting us. Yeah.
So but how do you honestly say that China is some sort of good initiative? Like, we should be looking up to China. Okay, well, why don't we do like China? Ignore all of the cries of environmentalist catastrophists. Ignore them and let's ramp up industry like China's doing. Why don't we compete with China? You want to talk about competition in the world market? Yes. Let's stop handing over industry to them and let's bring industry home. Let's cut all the red tape. Let's cut all this environmental crap and mine lithium here. Why don't we mine precious metals here? We can do all of that here.
No, this I don't even know who that minister's name is, but I'm gonna take a bold guess here, and he's on the list of 11 people that have been compromised. I mean, they're like 2 or 3 of them are like Melanie Joly is in China right now. He's in China. All last week, Freeland was at the World Economic Forum. They're the summer off for an MP is the time where you're supposed to go back to your constituency and meet with your people and hear their concern. These guys take off and go all over the world during the summer, and they're not coming to listen to us. It's like, no, this is discouraging. It's but
they gotta go.
They got to go, and their time is coming up. I mean, did you see today they had another fiasco with the Liberals, another fiasco. The House Committee on Violence Against Women met today, and it degraded into an absolute total gong show. And well, do you have a clip on that one? I
do have the clip, and I haven't seen this yet. Like, you mentioned it before we started recording here. But I found this tweet, and it's Pierre Poilievre saying, "Shocking. Victims invited to testify today at an emergency committee on violence against women were silenced by Liberal and NDP MPs today. The witnesses walked out in protest.
Yep.
Trudeau Liberals and the NDP have no shame. And there's a clip here. This is, I believe this is Michelle Ferreri, and I'll just play the clip.
This is after the event. This is sort of near the end of the, this is after an hour and a half of gong show. She's kind of like given up, and she's just making a speech at this point, but it's a good one.
What's happened here today is Status of Women reconvened for the summer because Stats Canada released even more shocking statistics. We know this. We sit in Status of Women. The rate of domestic violence is at epic proportions. 95 municipalities in Ontario alone have declared this a crisis. The deputy chief here from Peel today testified saying a woman is strangled every single day just in his community. We had a woman fly here from California to tell us that on the anniversary of her near-death experience from her abuser, that she doesn't feel safe to use her Canadian passport because her attacker is personally rewarded for being an abuser under our Canadian federal laws. Her mom is standing here right now watching this. Her mom is, the witnesses have left in tears.
Point of order.
Megan Walker, who has worked with London
Point
Police,
of order,
said,
Michelle.
Go ahead.
Is that one? Sorry, Madam Chair. Relevance to the motion, please.
Yep, thank you. I'm getting there. And, Kate's mom is standing here, and we talked about this. This is the status of women. The impact. Women are the whole heartbeat of society, and this wasn't a game. And the Liberal MP across the way says that we said nobody cares. That was victim testimony. The victim testimony said Trudeau doesn't care, not us. And the NDP colleague from Winnipeg, who has epic proportions of domestic violence, homicides, murders, there was plenty of reference to Indigenous folks. Kate, who was representing here today, represented voices of dozens of victims. So did Megan Walker, who has dedicated her life to empowering women. And so did the deputy police chief.
You can stop it there, Clyde.
So what happened? It was they were just interrupting over and over again with point of order. Point of order. They couldn't set aside their partisan bullshit.
That
needs to end. I mean, I've watched a bunch of these committees now, and if you watch committees in the United States, they don't have that. They can't interrupt somebody in their time. They have their time. The time is allotted. And if somebody interrupts, they can say,
I'll get my 5 minutes back later anyways, or whatever.
Yeah, I'm going to get my 5 minutes back, and I'll take that back. So there is the chair of the committee won't stop the committee to hear somebody's point of order. That's filibustering. It's terrible. It's a horrible tactic. And they did this at this committee where women
This is
were
a
testifying.
committee. This is a committee almost entirely made up of women. And they're talking about violence against women. Like, holy shit, man. And
that should be a nonpartisan issue. That's not.
It should be completely nonpartisan. They're talking to try and make the laws better. They called it an emergency meeting because Stats Canada released data last week that just said like violence against women is increasing. And they couldn't set aside their partisanship. And in the meeting, you can actually see it's similar. We're seeing it in meetings. We're even seeing it in the House of Commons. There are finally MPs on all sides who are like looking at each other during the meeting going, come on, this is like, there are well-intentioned MPs who cannot stomach this. Like, and in that meeting,
so what was the purpose though? Like the purpose of filibustering, the purpose of stalling the whole thing?
They weren't trying to stall. They weren't filibustering. They were just they couldn't help themselves, and they were like the Conservatives were bringing up. Basically, the Conservatives have great amendments to the law. So basically, the Conservatives are doing a good job of using tools to make a change, and they brought experts from California, experts from England, whatever, and they're making real progress. And the Liberals just cannot handle being upstaged. And so they cannot put their partisanship, even though this is for the best interest of women across the country. The Liberals cannot park their petty partisanship, and they kibosh this meeting to the point where the lady.
But they win. They win in the end. Like even if
they're not interested, they're not interested in. Nope.
But you get what I'm saying. Like if the Conservatives bring in new law and it's good law, the Liberals can say, well, under our watch, we brought in this law. Even if it wasn't them, they can take credit for it because they're the ones in charge.
Totally. Clyde, you and I are too common sense. We're too reasonable. We're way too reasonable for this.
I don't get
it. This one is one where I will encourage people. Like maybe I'll share the link of the meeting, because you can. It turned out to only be about 45 minutes, so you can literally fast forward about every minute and watch it. It's a complete. It degenerates It's incredible to witness it before your eyes, to see the partisanship that's going on in this country. It's at some yes, this is like I can't think of something that we shouldn't all agree on. I'm pretty sure we can all agree on that violence against women is inappropriate, but somehow or other we can't progress on that under this government. That's insane. That's completely insane. If we disagree on climate change, sure, we can disagree on climate change. We can disagree on whether electric vehicles have a place in the future, whatever. But man, we can all agree that violence against women is unacceptable. And nope, we couldn't discuss it in a committee. They couldn't discuss it. It totally degenerated. I'm mad thinking about it. Actually, I'm so mad about this one, Clyde. I made a tweet on this one because when I found out at about 3 or 4 o'clock that this was happening, I became extremely discouraged. This could be between Jasper this week and this event in particular. This is kind of like my tipping point. I'm at the point where like, I give up. Like we are absolutely not a real country when this is where we're at.
Well, I think this is why a lot of people have justifiably are walking away from the Liberals. They're walking not only the Liberals, but the NDP as well. And this is why rumors are circulating that they're going to join forces to become a new party and somehow beat the Conservatives in the future. So I covered this. I kind of want to talk about this one because sometimes you gotta if you see a tweet about a title for a video, maybe watch the video. I just want to caveat this with that. Now, I put this out there as the NDLP.
Is that your logo? I saw that one. Or is that somebody else who came up with that?
Vesper made this. Vesper made this one. It's from his tweet. And so this was a joke that he put out, and I retweeted it. And sure, it's funny, right? It's a funny thing, but people started to speculate wildly that this was a real thing, that this was something that was happening, and it was all based around Caryma Saad tweet. So you know who she is, and she's been
Caryma,
Caryma Saad, yeah. So she's been showing off all of these different protesters at these different events, and this was one that she was showing off, and I'll show you the clip right here.
What was the best part?
The fried pickles were pretty good.
What sort of politics did they discuss?
They actually talked about the possibility of Liberal and NDP working together in advance of an election to only run one candidate in any given riding to avoid vote splitting.
Yeah, so they're in a party anyway. They always have been. So
they were inspired, I think, by France.
This is
okay. So the inspired by France thing. So the full context of this, though, because you know how the internet works, that clip goes around and then it goes out as one thing. Caryma Saad was at a Liberal barbecue that day. So it was reported by so many people that was the information she was getting from the Liberal barbecue.
Oh, I see.
When in fact that was not the case. And when you look at the broader context of the whole thing, and let me pull this back up again, this video is from when she just arrived to the event. Right? So you can see her riding in and she gets to the place and then there's those guys. But just before that's mentioned, they're asking about another event that she was at a week prior. It was a different event. And that's the event that people were discussing. Possibly this might be a strategy that they might do, yada, yada. But it wasn't the official capacity of the Liberal Party saying this, which is where a lot of people got confused. Now, I made a video.
It's almost a rumor that turned into more than a rumor. Yeah.
Right, but I made a video talking about this in my title, and when I tweeted it out, I said, do you think that the Liberals and the NDP are getting together? And no, I mean, not nobody watched the video, but so many people did not watch the video and went directly at me insinuating that that was what was happening.
Gotcha.
I didn't. You got to watch the video to catch the context, I suppose. But yeah, I want to encourage people. Watch my videos. Yeah. No, I mean, you don't have to watch my videos, but don't take the full context out of the title.
That's actually like a strategy employed by spies, right? You planted, it's almost like planting something, and then you confirm, but the comments you got confirmed that somebody didn't watch or watch the video, right? It's I don't know what that's called, but yeah. Speaking of Liberals and NDP and so forth, did you see the Conservative attack ad towards Jagmeet?
No, I didn't.
Oh, they have about a 30-second attack ad where they're calling him what's the word? God, not slippery or something like that. But the Conservatives finally had enough of being attacked by Jagmeet constantly, so he authorized a little sellout. That's what they're calling him, Jagmeet the sellout, and it's pretty good little ad.
I gotta find it. Conservative Party.
Just type in Jagmeet sellout, and you'll probably find it. It's only about a 30-second ad, but you know it highlights the fact that they're highlighting the fact that he's hanging on just for his pension, basically, which you talked about too. Right? I've seen you reposting on some of those old Liberal tweets, and yeah, there you go.
This one?
Yeah,
okay, let's play it.
Jagmeet Singh is used to getting what he wants. He went to a high-priced American private school in Beverly Hills. Rolex watches, BMWs, Versace bag. But now he's got a problem. He needs to delay the election till next year when he qualifies for his $2 million pension. So he sold you out, signed on with Trudeau to raise taxes, crime, and housing costs. Sell out Singh. He gets his pension.
Luxury pensioner. Look at the magazine. Like
Jagmeet Singh is...
he gets his pension, you pay the price.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny, but it's sad at the same time.
Yeah, it's now the attack ads are starting. That's usually a sign that there's an election over the horizon, right? I mean, that's more than just normal.
They're not calling it early. I'm sticking to my guns on this one.
You're sticking to your guns? Okay.
I've had people, get me thinking, yeah, maybe so many times. And I think I have like a bet that keeps rolling over with Northern Perspective because they keep calling for it. I think they're riding it out, and I'm going to stick to my guns on this. This was my initial thought way back. I don't think that there's any change to that plan. Why else would they have put forward a bill so that they can all, have an election 1 week later?
Yeah.
So that they're all eligible and they all know they're getting voted out. And yeah, I
don't Trudeau Sr. went for a walk in the snow and then decided to resign. So we're all thinking, okay, Junior goes for a walk on the beach, maybe. I don't know. I'd
like to see him walk on the plank, but he's not stepping down. He's this is it's a sad reality, but this is something that could be satisfying for a lot of Canadians to watch him get defeated terribly. And he will get defeated terribly, but he's going to run, and he's going to have that hubris that he always has to think that he's gonna win over votes and win people over. Yeah, there's some people that have, I guess, been living under a rock or whatever it is.
Yeah, we do have one good, the recent election in Toronto St. Paul where the Liberals lost was that started a bit of discussions in the Liberal caucus about, is it time for him to step down? He just finally announced 3 new by-elections. So there's 3 by-elections set for, don't quote me, but I think September 6th or something like that. all of them in Ontario. And you can tell he's taking this one seriously. Again, he broke his own rules. He bypassed, he vetoed every constituency association, and he put in his own candidates, so he handpicked 3 candidates for the 3 upcoming by-elections. I won't guarantee it, and I'm never that crazy, but if he loses 2 out of 3 of those upcoming by-elections, then his numbers then he's done. Then he's in deep trouble, because he's taking a big chance by overruling the associations and putting in his own candidates. And by the way, people know this. I'm critical of either or party, right? And so the Conservatives also announced some of their candidates, and then one of the ridings in Ottawa, one of the candidates, I'm immediately telling Pierre, like, whoa, wrong candidate. And the whole world is already telling Pierre, you got the wrong candidate. He's got an ex Ottawa city councillor running for the position, a councillor who was pro Emergency Measures Act and pro this and pro that. It's like, whoa. Like, man, do you seriously want to, like, no, I do believe in the process of letting the constituents select a candidate, but at some point it's okay to interfere. Like, that's not a cool candidate for me. Not at all.
No, absolutely not. And I think I'll never be on board with anyone who voted for the Emergency Measures Act. The Emergencies Act. No, it's a non-starter for me at that point. That what they did there. So anyone who voted for
let's stay on the political side a little bit. And
I wanted to show something. I wanted to show something that Pierre was talking about recently, and this is an interview that I don't think will be even published on their YouTube channel, because they have like a television service. But this is a short that they put out of part of the interview that it was just a few days ago. And this is Pierre Poilievre talking about immigration. Everybody keeps asking, when's Pierre going to talk about immigration? When's he has been talking about immigration, but here's the most recent one. I wanted to showcase it.
Problem has a name, Justin Trudeau. He caused the problem. The immigrant people did not cause the problem. They did what they were told. The rules were online. They followed the rules. And they came here. They did what he said they should do. The problem is that he destroyed the common sense approach that worked for 150 years, where we brought in people in numbers that we could absorb into housing, healthcare, and the job market, where people came in lawfully, where the international students actually studied, and the temporary foreign workers actually filled jobs that Canadians couldn't fill. That was the system we had before, and that worked. If we get back to that, we can bring back the best system in the world that gives high achievers and hard workers a chance to flee a bad situation and come to the best country in the world and achieve their dreams.
Good find on that one. Good find on that. That's a good find. Yeah.
I absolutely believe that. And like, if you look at the numbers here, this is from the Reddit subreddit, Canada Housing 2.0. And it's, the hiring lab from the labor market, from Indeed, is showing the population growth is going way up, and the job prospects are not growing. They may be growing, but at such a slower rate than the population is increasing. We can't have this. We just can't have this. It does not make sense. And it's going to lead to a lot of social problems. It's going to lead to a lot of economic problems. It's going to lead to a furthering of the housing crisis, the furthering of our healthcare crisis. I mean, we're just one problem after another, and we're digging ourselves deeper.
And look at what's happening on social media with the videos, and I'm guilty of it. I shared it too. That guy who I don't know if he's defecating or taking a pee in that cup in the Tim Hortons outside of his. Actually, that's sad, because it's bringing negative attention to a group, but it's also a reality. It's a integrating people means having a chance to live among us and learn some of our rules. I mean, and wasn't there a girl too who spoke out against who filmed the beach in her neighborhood and got in trouble for? Oh, geez, yeah, you're good, man.
I'm on it today. I'm on it. So I had this prepared. Now this was a girl who was, her name's Natty, and she had her TikTok, and she's been talking about the fact that people have been pooping on the beaches, and it was a big thing. I did a video about it. We shared this out there. I'll leave a link to that video in the description down below, so you can go check that out. But because of this, you think that the RCM or the OPP or whatever police dispatchment would go, hey, maybe we should go check it out and make sure people are not defecating.
Let's go walk on the beach.
What's more important out there, defecation or defamation? Well, they're more worried about defamation, not number two. Pun intended on that one. No, what happened? Well, the police came to her door.
Sorry, since you're at my home, can I just get your name? And
oh, my bad. That's the wrong one. That's the wrong clip. There's another clip with the cops coming to her door. That was an older clip. This is David Menzies covering this. Maybe I don't have the right clip up for that. No, that was an older clip of during the Freedom Convoy.
So it's an ongoing problem. Yeah.
This is an ongoing problem. So the police came to her door. Sorry, I don't have the video handy. But Rebel seems to be one of the only websites talking about this at the moment. That they're the police are investigating into her, not the case of people defecating at these beaches. And they said Natty was shocked and surprised to see an OPP officer recently showed up at her house to interrogate her about why she made the social media posting. But why would the OPP be concerned about social media chatter, especially since Rebel News has reached out to other sources that confirm what Natty is alleging is unfortunately accurate? So this really scares me, because the main point here, in my perspective, is the government right now is trying to draft and put together a bill and pass it through legislation, Bill C-63. The Online Harms Act. And they're already coming after people for talking about things that are absolutely true that are happening in Canada. And they're knocking on their doors. What happens when we give them the power to actually put people in jail, put people in house arrest, take away their property, confiscation of property, confiscation of their ability to use the internet, this kind of thing, ankle bracelets, like it's all in the bill. And this is the direction that it's going.
No, and nothing's exaggerated, because even with the existing tools they have now, the censorship is relentless. It's unbelievable. I mean, Clyde, let's put it this way: if we weren't on social media, if you and I got off the computer for this week and only pick one station, you and I only watch CTV next week. That's it. That's all you're allowed to watch. You're only allowed to watch CTV. And then we get back together next Thursday or next Wednesday. It's like, what did you learn this week? My God, we'd know nothing. We'd know nothing. We'd know there was a fire in Jasper, and the fire in Jasper was caused by climate change. We wouldn't know that there was a brouhaha in the House of Commons. We wouldn't know that there's people taking a crap on the beach. We wouldn't know, we wouldn't know half these stories, more than half. And then here you and I are on here trying to make this known. I mean, there's the video. Let's watch, and then I'll come back to this. But
it was a big shock to me to open my door to see the officer asking me to come out, and then stepping in and having a whole conversation about what I'm posting on social media, which is harming nobody. I want people to know, because it is a biohazard. It's the safety and well-being of the kids and the visitors that want to go use the beach.
I've had to yell at people for on the borderline property line of my backyard. They're digging holes and they're pooping and putting tents up because they don't want to go to the washroom.
Somebody called.
This is not hyperbole. Anyway, this is the police talking.
Yeah, I want to hear this
about somebody posting things on TikTok
about
defecating.
It was a big shock to me to open my door.
So basically, a cop is coming to your house because of something you said. That's insane. This
on the internet.
This should scare everybody. I mean,
and the reason why I had the other clip handy is because, and this is an older clip, but this happened during the Freedom Convoy, when people were donating and sharing their support for the Freedom Convoy. This was a visit that some lady got in Ontario.
Sorry, since you're at my home, can I just get your name and your badge number, please?
I have a card here.
Okay.
It's Erica Ingram.
Thank you.
And this is just some information about peaceful protests. That's all it is.
Okay, so you saw something on my Facebook?
No, on the Facebook group.
Okay, and decided to come to my personal residence to give me information about peaceful protest?
Yes.
Okay, so are the Peterborough Police, no, you're with OPP? Are you guys now monitoring people's Facebook pages? Or Facebook groups to who comments as to what their status updates are or what they're doing or
So
within the group?
Just because of the protests happening province-wide, yes, we have been monitoring the protests.
Okay.
So there's a protest coming up. I'm simply providing you with information about a peaceful protest, and now I'm leaving.
Oh, okay.
That is all.
So the Ontario Provincial Police are watching what people are doing on Facebook in different groups, whether or not they're commenting, participating, liking, and you guys are now doing service calls to give people information about peaceful protest.
That voice sounds familiar.
Measure to make sure you understand your rights about peaceful protesting.
I have a copy of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, so I'm well within that and very understanding of that. I appreciate that. I'm hoping that you guys aren't going to waste our tax dollars.
Anyway, I'll let that
go.
I'll leave a comment, or I can leave a link for that one.
I wonder what size files they have on you and I, man. They must have files on you and I. I'm sure they do. By the way, folks,
I mean, I live in the world where it's like, any conversation I have online, I just assume there's a possibility of it being recording. So,
I mean, if somebody knocks on your door, it's a habit of mine. If somebody knocks on my door, I don't go and open the door. Luckily I have a house where I can sort of go to my living room and see who it is. Most of the time it's an Uber driver, or not an Uber driver, an Amazon driver. But if I knock on my door, if somebody knocks on my door and I see that there's cops there, I'm actually not going to open the door. I'm actually going to walk out the back door, and then I'm going to go somewhere and come from the front of my property and say, "What are you guys doing here?" And because you open the door, you're almost in trouble. Like do not let them set foot in your house. Do not, because they don't have to ask you. And if they just set foot, they'll say that they were invited in. And then after that, man, you've given up a lot of rights once they step into your house. So do not let them come into your house.
But it's terrifying. It's
Totally
terrifying that,
terrifying.
they're watching people's comments on the internet and then, but again, this is about real world things. So, the idea of showing this one is the protest that happened in Ottawa. They ended up declaring a state of emergency, suspending the Charter of Rights, and then freezing people's bank accounts right after this. So what else? What might they had planned? Who knows? But they're paying attention. They're showing up at people's homes that are saying "Rah rah, go truckers!" Like this is what's happening.
Yeah. What I was going to say earlier before we found that second clip, when we were talking about Bill C-63 and stuff like that, C-63 is scary when you know what they're already doing. And, as an example, knocking on people's door. I mean, an example that people might not be familiar with. I get targeted by censors every day in a legal way. And that's what they're called, the community notes, right? On Twitter. People might not know this, but on Twitter, there's this thing called the community note. I get community. I get noted
pretty bad today.
Oh, today? I didn't even see that one today. I get noted.
Maybe I can show you. I'll have to pull this page up. This is one that you tweeted out today, and this was Way of the World. So you retweeted it. This Indian says the quiet part out loud, and you wrote, "Don't pretend this is parody or humor." Now I'll play the video on what's being said here.
Don't treat Canada like it's India. You want to act like that, stay where you came from. No, I will stay here only. We are all coming and we are taking over. We will replace you all. We are going to work at the Tim Hortons and mess up your order on purpose only. We will marry your woman and shit on your beach. Nothing you can do will stop us. Nothing. Soon the takeover will be complete. Don't treat.
And then they cut it right there. And then you retweeted it. Well, you got community noted here.
Oh, okay.
And I found the original video. It didn't end there. I'd like to show you where it did end.
And shit on your beach. Nothing you can do will stop us. Nothing. Soon the takeover will be complete. Bro, I'm not even Indian. I'm not even Indian. The racism in the comments are crazy, bro. I'm not even Indian.
Yeah,
So
but
that was the end of that.
Yeah, I sort of knew that, but in my folks, by the way, folks, my comments online are I generally think about things before I type it. So, I seldom go right off the cuff. And when I said something like this is not parody, what I mean is that parody, by definition, is a real exaggeration of something. And this is not parody because what he's saying is not even an exaggeration. To laugh that Indians are gonna shit on our beaches and disrespect our culture and do these things. That's not parody. That's
what's happening.
That's what's happening.
Tim Hortons and messing up our orders. That's parody. Come on, that's funny.
Sure, that's parody. But when somebody says, my comment is valid. I knew what's going on, but it's not parody.
I cannot stand accounts like this Way of the World here, though, that would take that video and cut the part that makes it obvious of what was going on there. Cut it out and then have it on a loop where you just hear that part of it. That's rage baiting, man. That's just trying to get people upset. And
I'm surprised nobody's somebody could do a good compilation of you and I, right? Like you could do you and I talking to each other where we hate each other if you took the right sound clips or something like that. I'm surprised.
Oh yeah, I'm sure
nobody's taken the time to do that yet. Challenge.
Oh, absolutely.
Vesper will do it. There you go, Vesper.
I'm
will do it.
Yeah, I'm sure he's already on it.
He's the man. It was Vesper who created the Marty Up North page where I was sharing recipes on the internet.
Was it him that did that? That was funny.
It was either him or one of his friends, or maybe it was Steve. It was 222s or somebody like that. God, we got good friends. We have
it was a recipe webpage. But I get upset at the people that are rage baiting because here's the real situation in Canada. We have Indians that have been coming here under our old immigration, as Pierre Poilievre was just describing in that video. Our old immigration system worked great. It worked fantastic for a long time. And the immigrants that came here have always, not every single person is great, but for the large part have been great. And we've had probably one of the best immigration systems. We were the envy of other countries. This is the best way to do it. And we did it well. We did it great. And the Indo community is really actually upset right now with what's been going on. And the people that have been coming over, I mean, they're not, again, with the not vetting people, going through these college scam backdoor to immigration, the LMIAs, the working visas that these companies are scamming and getting people, through, again, another back door. And there are a lot of people coming from one particular caste society area of Punjab, and people are upset because it's the reputation of the Indo community has sunk.
People like a friend of ours, right? Darshan is an example, right? Darshan Maharaja is upset, and he should be, and because he came here, he's worked hard to fight those racisms and those stereotypes and those things, and now his fellow countrymen are coming here after him and basically erasing so much of his hard work. Yeah, okay, well, all right, guilty. I mean, boy, it's tough not to take part in some of the stuff that's going on these days. So yeah, guilty. I spread some videos this week.
Some of the jokes are funny though, like when Lauren Southern had the Tim Hortons cup and it says "I love Indian food." I thought that's clever. Like, the jokes are funny, and we should be able to joke about it, and that's the whole idea. If you can't joke about it, then we're not even Canadians anymore. That's one part of being Canadian that I think we should all accept. And if you say, "Oh, that's out of bounds," that's you're bordering on racism, I want to push back on that, and I want to say, no.
Yeah.
We got to be able to make fun of the situation here because that is fundamentally a Canadian thing to do.
But now let's go a little bit different with this one. And I think you had this one queued up, and it's actually a great segue for this. Look at the opening ceremonies of the Paris Olympics this weekend.
I forgot to cue that up. I can get that.
Okay. So you know,
my browser history is gonna.
I'm pretty sure
great.
people are aware of this. I mean, just type in opening ceremonies. Type in Last Supper. So just show that picture for the friends, and then we'll quickly chat about it because.
Yeah, I'll get this up right here. So they're trying to say that they weren't portraying the Last Supper. Da Vinci's Last Supper, you know, that was the Last Supper that Jesus Christ had with his apostles before his crucifixion, and they put it together with a bunch of what's the right term you're allowed to use for this?
Call them trans, call them LGBTQ, call them, you know, marginalized people or whatever. I don't, but in fact, I don't even want to talk about the image specifically. I just want to talk about what you just said. I'm a Christian. I find this offensive, but I'm not asking for heads to roll because, you know, I find it offensive, but I'm used to people offending us. And I'm Canadian, and humor and offense, and like Jordan Peterson says, you got to risk offending to get to the truth, or whatever his quote is. So this is a bit offensive, but I'm not demanding somebody's head. In fact, you know, I've seen Christ's Last Supper done with dogs. It was done on an episode of MASH. It was done, like, it's been done, right? It's been parodied. It's been done. Now I will flip it though, right? Imagine if this was making real fun of some other religion, and I'll pick one randomly. Imagine if this was, you know, making fun of Islam and Muhammad. So there's a certain double standard. And yes, I'm a Canadian, so and in fact, I'm a Canadian, and I'll lead by example. So I'll try not to do too much mocking in the coming days on people shitting on the beach and whatnot. But I'm also, you know, I'm reminded when I watched the Olympics this weekend. Let's get serious about the Olympics, though. Let's talk about them really seriously. Like, this is messed up. Like, I don't know what signal they're like. I don't know what they were trying to do with this one. I really don't. It seems to have backfired on them. But the other one that happened at the Olympic, and I don't know if you can find that one quickly. They raised the flag upside down during the opening ceremonies. And
well, I was looking for something. I couldn't find it, but it was Tim Pool retweeting Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks. And Young Turks said, you know, basically along the lines of like, you know, grow a thick skin, Christians, get over it. Yeah. And Tim Pool said, well, how about this? I challenge you. We'll put together a mockery of both Christ and Muhammad at the same time. We'll see how it fares out. Like, what would you think? Now, I want to add to this because, you know, for the longest time, you know, Christians, you know, there's the old, you know, I mean, it's a caricature now. You know, you watch like Dirty Dancing or any of these movies, or it was a Footloose with, you know, the preacher who's the bad guy, won't let anyone dance, and they were always, you know, they were the authority, and it was people fighting against the authority. So if you were you know, pushing against Christianity, it was punching up. It was always punching up against authority, and you know, you had guts to do that. And then a lot of things have changed in society since then. Nowadays, Christianity, largely people, they've become super tolerant of people attacking them, of people going after their religion, of, you know, people, blatant attacks, blatant disrespect and things like that, that now it's punching down. Like, it's not even brave. You're not brave to go after Christians. There's nothing brave about it.
No.
So to do this at the Olympic ceremony is just egregious at this point. Like, I don't find it super offensive because I don't have a thin skin like that. And I was raised Christian, and you know I realize how offensive it is, and I know there's a lot of devout Christians that find it very offensive. But a lot of people have a tough skin. because they've gotten used to the fact that, you know, Christianity's under attack, and it has been. And like, let's make no qualms about this. It's been under attack for some time, especially by the liberal left, commies, these kinds of people. They don't like it because of Christ's teachings, that you don't need the church, you don't need this institution, you can be independent, and that's a bad lesson for communists, that's for sure, and socialists don't like that. So
that's a really cool way to put it. That's really cool. I like what you just said, Clyde. That's really cool. You know, the Olympics, I think, punching below their weight at this point.
They're not brave. There's nothing brave. Not
absolutely
brave.
You hit on somebody who wasn't going to punch back. That's not brave. I mean, ask Lauren. You know, as soon as you started talking, you made me think of Lauren Southern, who had the bravery to go into a deeply Muslim neighborhood in England and put up a banner that said Allah is gay. That's brave. Because if she did the same thing, if she went to a neighborhood in Toronto and said God is gay, people would walk by and go, "Peace, girl," and yeah, you're right, you know. So yeah, there's nothing brave. Yeah, really good point. Actually, that's a fresh perspective on it. So yes, the Olympics were not brave. Quite the contrary. No, yeah,
absolutely not.
Yeah, fresh one on that. Oh, good. Yeah, yeah. What else happened this week? Well, I mean, we're running out of time a little bit. There's too much, right?
I mean, we could get into Venezuela and all that stuff, and you know, it's what do you expect to happen when the communists take over in your country? Do you think there's going to be fair elections in the future? Just like, are you surprised? In fact, the thing about Venezuela that shocked me the most is just how, actually, it pissed me off the most. I wish Hugo Chavez would have lived longer. I when he died, I thought, another Lenin. Damn it, another Lenin. They're gonna say that he was a great man and he did all these great things, and then it was his predecessor that destroyed the whole thing. He would have destroyed it just like Maduro did. It would have been the same thing if
Trudeau destroys ours. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say about that.
No, two quick thoughts. One was, it was hilarious. Like, we'll talk about Venezuela next week. We'll know more. But basically, he tried to end the election saying, "Okay, I already have enough votes. Like, I have 99.9% of the votes. That's enough." You know, like he's tried to stop the election. And
police were taking their uniforms off and saying, "Forget it, I quit. I'm done with this."
Yeah, and then simultaneously this week there was these wonderful memes. Because, you know, Kamala Harris suddenly appears on the ballot for the Americans. And there's some memes that I think are probably pretty real, you know, showing Americans quickly erasing Joe Biden off the ballots, going, "Shit, I got 1 million of these with Joe Biden. I got to erase them all and put Kamala," right? The election hasn't occurred yet. And we're about to find boxes full of Joe Biden ballots, which I wouldn't be surprised.
Already filled out Joe Biden ballots.
Yeah, but these are no good now. They're in the recycle bin. We need a whole bunch of new ones for Kamala. Darn, we didn't see this one coming. We live in crazy times, Clyde. We've said it again and again and again. Yeah, it's very entertaining.
Anyway, where can people find you, Marty?
Sitting at home, avoiding the sun right now because of the medications I'm on. No, you can find me on Marty Up North on Twitter. Like I say every week, find me and engage with me, share some stories, and let's have some dialogue.
All right, everybody, keep on trucking.
Cheers.